playing Dauntless in 2021. Is it too late to start playing? Dauntless Reforged is a complete overhaul on the game's core progression and introduced a variety of new gameplay elements. One being a completely new game type that offers a continuous open-world hunt called the Hunting Grounds. This allows players to stay in the fight longer, hunting the next behemoth without consistently needing to go back to Ramsgate just to requeue for the next hunt. Not to mention 18 new islands, with each island having its own emergency type quest or island activity, and not to forget, traveling there in style using your new glider. Whether you're a completely new player or a returning player, what weapon or quotations class should you choose to play in Dauntless Reforged? And most important, what's the combat like? Jumping right into it, you have a selection of 7 different weapons to choose from. Swords, axes, chain blades, hammers, repeaters, which essentially is twin guns, warpikes, and lastly, Aether Strikers, or strikers for short. Before going right into the weapon overview, none of what I'm saying will make sense unless we go over the 4 different types of damage in Dauntless: basic damage, part damage, stagger damage, and wound damage. Basic damage, indicated by a white number, deals damage directly to a behemoth's health. Part damage is indicated by numbers in yellow. This damage only counts towards the threshold for a behemoth part, whether it's a tail, horn, legs, and so forth. Stagger damage is indicated by numbers in blue. This damage only counts towards the threshold for a behemoth to be stunned or knocked down. Typically, without any mods, this damage is done towards attacking the behemoth's head or legs. And lastly, indicated by numbers in red, wound damage. Wound damage counts towards the threshold required to create a wounded point. Once the threshold has been met, this is indicated by the blue ether that will be visible in the scar of the damaged part. Now, what this wound point does is giving slashing attacks a 50% damage boost against that part, blunt attacks a 25% boost, but be careful, piercing attacks get a 25% damage reduction. You may be wondering, what the heck is a slashing attack, blunt attack, or piercing attack? Slashing attacks deal 50% increased damage to behemoth parts. Blunt attacks give a 33% boost to stagger damage. Piercing attacks deal wound damage to then create a wounded point. Certain weapons may have access to more than one attack type. For example, the Warpike being the only weapon to be able to deal piercing damage, but also possessing a slashing type attack as well. The sword has 3 key mechanics: core combos, Valor combos, and the overdrive meter. Core combos help generate Valor, which allows you to use a Valor combo once 3 charges have completed a bar. Now, the overdrive meter is separate and is built by landing final hits, whether it be from your core combo or Valor combo. Once you've reached full overdrive, your special is then ready to be activated. At the start, you'll have access to the special Valiant Overdrive, granting you 20% attack speed and allowing attacks to deal plus 60 to 80 AoE damage. One Valor is also granted immediately, with another charge being granted every 4 seconds. Reactivating this special again allows you to dash in the direction chosen. The sword is definitely a beginner-friendly weapon, and definitely a great choice for understanding behemoth mechanics. If you're a Monster Hunter player, the sword actually reminds me of using dual blades without the demon mode. Once you've used your special in overdrive, it kinda equates to demon mode, but if possible, imagine using dual blades but only having access to one. Axes in general have a slower attack speed, but can deal a great amount of damage if you're able to land your combos and charged attack. The axe has 2 very unique mechanics: Resolve and Determination. Resolve keeps you from getting staggered by behemoths for a short time. Resolve can be gained by immediately letting go of the vertical attack as soon as it reaches the 3rd level. Determination multiplies the weapon's attack damage and can stack up to 3 times. For Determination, by landing charged attacks will gradually increase the meter. Once the meter is full, you will then need to land your special attack to then be granted a stack of Determination. The axe special that you start with is called Flight of Ruin, which deals 60 damage consistently, gaining 2 meters per hit, and by reactivating the special will allow you to call it back, performing a powerful smash upon impact. For my Monster Hunter players out there, you can definitely correlate the axe to the GS, or the Greatsword. The hammer is another slower weapon, but while lacking in speed, is greatly made up for in raw damage, not to mention an excellent weapon for staggering a behemoth. Now, don't be fooled by the hammer, it also acts as a cannon as well. From the start, you'll have access to the special Concussive Salvo, which releases a blast not only damaging the behemoth, but interrupting them as well. Activating the special will toggle the reload animation, and getting anything other than a perfect will cost you time. Having the hammer reloaded, this allows you to maneuver around, being able to perform a hammer jump, or even a double jump. In general, inflicting stagger damage and dodging should be your main focus. In my opinion, wielding the hammer might be for the more advanced player that knows behemoth mechanics due to its lower mobility and reliance on completing combos for max efficiency. Monster Hunter wise, this weapon reminds me of the hammer and gun lance combined. In contrast, chain blades offer high mobility paired with high attack speed. It allows for close and long range gameplay, with a special that allows you to close the gap between you and a behemoth. Having lower heavy damage, it makes up for its fast attack speed, which in return gives a greater chance of hitting a critical strike. With its slashing type attacks, severing behemoth parts have never been easier, and should be one of your top priorities while playing chain blades. You'll start off with a special called Reaper's Dance. From afar, this special pulls you closer, giving you 1 stack. Close to the target pushes you away, then allowing you to use a light or heavy attack, which expends your stacks of Reaper Dance, which grants you 40% damage per stack. The Chain Blade is one of those weapons where if you don't really know what you're doing, it could be mediocre, but top tier potential if played correctly. In Monster Hunter comparison, the Chain Blades feel like a more advanced dual blades, not to mention its unique dodge that feels like demon mode. The Repeater is the only fully ranged weapon in Dauntless. With a high rate of fire, continuous damage, and endless amounts of customization, Repeaters are hands down the most versatile weapon in the game. One thing that's very important to note is even though the Repeater is a ranged weapon, you're going to want to stay within distance of your target. The further you are away, the less damage output you'll do. Not to mention, reloading close to the behemoth grants you what's called an empowered reload. Empowered reloads give you a damage boost on your attacks for a set amount of time. If your crosshair is white, this actually indicates you're too far away, suffering damage drop-off. If your crosshair is red, this indicates you have full damage potential. So make sure you're staying in range to of course output the most damage. The Repeater is broken down into 4 parts. The barrel, determining the element of your attack. The chamber, determining your skill shot ability. The grip, which sets your deployable item, for example like a buff or a mine. And lastly, the prism, controlling your passive bonus. As you can imagine, the characteristics of the Repeater can change greatly depending on the parts that are equipped. Monster Hunter weapon comparison wise, the Repeaters remind me of the Elemental Lightbow Gun, or the LBG for short. The Warpike is a fast weapon specializing in dealing wound damage with piercing attacks, but also the versatility having slashing attacks for part damage. By attacking, the Warpike's meter fills up, which then can be used as ammo, capable of shooting what's called a pike blast that interrupts behemoth attacks. The more that the bar is filled, the stronger the ammo will be, so focus on using your harvesting attack to charge up the meter. One thing to definitely keep in mind is the majority of attacks cause you to stay stationary, which reduces your overall mobility. Not to mention, most of the attacks use a lot of stamina, so it's going to be super vital to know behemoth mechanics. You'll start off with a special Concussive Payload, which converts the meter into ammo that deals 750 damage based on ammo quality and can interrupt a behemoth. Monster Hunter wise, the Warpike definitely reminds me of the Insect Glaive, just without all of the jumping around that it does. And last but not least, Aether Strikers. Strikers are a heavy combo-based weapon that deal blunt damage. Completing any of the set combos activates a mantra. Mantra is then used for different techniques. For example, Tempest Form requires 1 mantra and increases your attack speed. Karma Breaker requires 2 mantras and unleashes a forward strike, along with dealing damage over time. Adamant Bolt requires 3 mantra and unleashes a blast of energy towards the behemoth. However, Adamant Bolt could deal bonus damage if either Tempest Form or Karma Breaker is active, and even more damage if they're both active at the same time. Now, though it sounds easy, timing is going to be super important for mastering Strikers. Your special meter is constantly depleting, showing you how much time is left before your mantra expires. And if time runs out, you'll have to start your whole combo again, making this, in my opinion, a more advanced class to play, but deadly if put in the right hands. Overall, this was just a quick summary of the current weapons that Dauntless Reforged has to offer, and I hope this video actually helped you on your decision on what weapon to choose. In my upcoming videos, I plan on reviewing the Reforged update a little bit more, and of course, you can definitely expect more Dauntless content soon to come. As always, thanks for watching this video, and I hope to see you on the next one.